This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
To the highway in a brand new day. Over the rainbow, gotta let it go. So fast to finger down. Dance tonight together. He'll have me while they're singing. 你看到我就怕，头皮发麻，我的手。
Welcome back to Open the Voice Gate for March 1st, 2022. We are members of the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. You can find us on the Voices of Wrestling podcast feed or on our own dedicated podcast feed on all podcast platforms and applications. You can follow us on Twitter at Open Voice Gate. If you would like to donate to this show, click the link in the show notes. It'll take you to our Red Circle landing site. You click the red box that says sponsor this podcast, and you can set up a one-time or recurring donation. No obligation whatsoever, but we would like to thank all of our previous donors. I'm one of your hosts. It's your old pal, Mike Spears, joined alongside Case Lowe. And Case, it has been an interesting few weeks, and we are getting into probably one of the busiest 4-day periods in the Dragongate calendar since I can remember. And with New Age Dragongate, we don't have a whole lot to preview for the upcoming Korakuen and Champion Gate, but I just want to do a little bit of a heat check. How are you feeling going into the first big weekend of Dragongate's year?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. Like I said last week, I really like the title matches that have been laid out. I think they're all compelling. I think they're all interesting. I think the result on most of them is entirely up in the air, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But, we talk in this promotion a lot about how there's hot periods, really hot times of the year. This is a hot week. Thursday through Sunday is pretty much wall-to-wall Dragongate action, which is phenomenal, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's something that while I was setting up my big old calendar that I do each month, just so I can keep track of, okay, I need to record here, I need to make sure I'm doing this then. I looked at this and I was like, they really jam-packed March all into this 1 week, because after this, it's Sambo Hall and that's it on the network. But it's exciting. When I was watching the Kobe Art Center show that we're going to be talking about today, it really hit me how stoked I was for this weekend's Champion Gate shows. All 4 title matches, really, it's something that kind of surprised me, because usually in past years there might be one that I'm like, oh, okay, that's not really, doesn't do a whole lot for me. But all 4 title matches, I feel like that all the outposts and all the previews to it, I feel like we're in a good place.
Yeah, I completely co-sign that. I mean, you even look at last year's cards. The Twin Gate match was Mochizuki and Yoshida versus Hulk and Kai, which I don't think either of us were crazy excited about, even if we liked the Mochizuki Yoshida stuff. And, Akuda versus Hyo for the Brave Gate belt, and what I thought was a rather uninteresting Triangle Gate match with Natural Vibes against an RED team of Dia Inferno, Diamante, and Hip Hop Kakuta, how things change in a year. And then you go back even further to 2020, another Twin Gate match that I wasn't super invested in, Hulk and Sakamoto versus Kai and Yamato on the second night. And that first night of shows was Ishida versus Horiguchi and a Benkei Dragon Dia Strong Machine J Team Dragongate team headlining the first night, beating Dragon Kid, Araken, and Ryo Saito. That match happened 2 years ago. That match feels like it took place 15 years ago. It just feels so dated in the context of where we are now. But I think these shows are going to be really good. I like this Kobe show a lot. I feel like they have momentum within the promotion. I'm excited about a lot of things coming up.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So this week, we're going to be talking about their... I don't know if this is their debut that they had at the Kobe Art Center, but...
It is, because last year was a different Kobe building in February.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about this. We will be previewing the 4 Champion Gate title matches, And we're going to talk about one of Kinesa's biggest rivalries with someone who also recently retired, Masato Yoshino. We both picked a couple of matches that we're going to be talking about. But let's get into this Kobe Art Center show. It was on the 27th. It'll be up on demand on the network through the 7th. So, I mean, if you haven't caught this show yet, you could really like set yourself up to watch this Thursday morning or tomorrow, and then you could watch Cork and Hall, take Friday off, just take it easy, and then have Saturday and Sunday. And I think that's all just fantastic. So this Art Center show, how do you feel about this venue? Because I'm kind of conflicted about this.
So I would really like to see this venue run with no attendance restrictions and then flip the hard cam, because I think it was Joe Gagney who pointed out that it looks like a wrestling show broke out in a college lecture hall, and that is the perfect description for it. But I think under normal circumstances, if you just flipped things around and had a really full giant wall of fans, it would look okay. I actually I didn't watch the show live, so the first image I saw from it was, I think it was the Dragongate Records guy that had a post on Instagram, and he shot it from the wall of chairs on that side, and I was like, oh no, it looks really dire. Like, did they bomb in Kobe, or Mike and I gonna have to dive into what this means? They actually ended up drawing pretty well up from where they were, I believe, last month in Kobe, but just with the way it was set up, there were a ton of empty chairs, even if there were over 300 people there. But overall, I liked the building.
Yeah, I guess like how I would like to see this building, because in a lot of ways it's like across Fukuoka in that it's a narrow building. Like Cork and Hall is notoriously narrow. Everyone sees the hard cam and you see the floor, but you don't see all the orange seats behind you. And that's kind of the sense I get from the Art Center. The thing that and it's something that happens at some of these venues that they don't always run, is I wish they would have control of the lights and be able to bring their light kits out, because I feel like that this venue with the proper lighting would look really cool. Like, that's the thing about Cross Fukuoka. I don't like their cross double headers. I think the venue looks really cool with the light bars, and especially like the bleed effects that you kind of get with that. And I feel like that would be a really neat thing to have here as well. But it just is something that, I have not reached out. Well, we could figure this out pretty soon. But I think it's something that whenever they try to book like this late February show for Sanbo Hall, is just unavailable for whatever reason, because the exact same thing happened last year, and that's why they went to, I don't have my old notebook on me, but they were at that other venue that was just as big as this one.
Yeah, I feel like the term that was thrown at us last year was like community usage or something, and I don't know what that means, but I feel like I remember seeing that word thrown around.
Yeah, so attendance was not bad, 318. So, I mean, that's higher than Wakayama. God, that Wakayama attendance is something that I'm going to be ruminating about this time next year. That just was dire. 6-match show. I really liked the vast majority of the show, with the exception of one match. What were your thoughts up top?
Oh, this is the definition of a peaks and valleys show, because I loved, and I mean loved, a few things on this show. I had 2 different 4-star matches on this show, but when this show was bad, there was about a 30 to 45 minute stretch on this show, and granted, this was not a long show, but there was about a 30 to 45 minute stretch that was really, really rough.
Yeah, so let's just get into it, because I feel like that we might be in lockstep about a lot of stuff on the show. We opened up with Natural Vibes versus the unnamed Hot Boys. They will be named on Thursday. So, Case, before we get into this, any predictions about their names and color schemes?
Oh boy, you sprung this on me. I truly have no idea. I cannot even improvise a color nor a name. I think let's look at Coach Minoru real quick, because we're gonna base it around him. He has dark eyes. I was gonna say if we could line it up with his eye color. I don't know. I think Coach Minoru is gonna look dashing, and quite frankly, I think that's their only focus here.
Yeah, the name, I feel like they're gonna do some sort of handsome appeal there. I have no beat on it. Looking at
I really like that light blue that the Toryumon generation used.
Yeah.
It's probably too soon to recycle that kind of color palette, but I wouldn't hate seeing like a powder blue. You know what they should look like? They should look like the San Diego Chargers. They should be wearing powder blue and gold.
You know that I used to be a San Diego Chargers fan. So
Yes.
you're barking up the right tree. I still have a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey in my but in the back of my closet, along with a Nolan Ryan one. So I wouldn't have any problem with
Nolan
that.
Ryan on the Rangers, I assume.
Come on.
Yeah, that was a stupid question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shut it down like that.
No,
but,
stupid question gets a stupid answer. I deserve that, Mike.
But I maybe it was like some of the stuff that I've seen with even though this is going to be Minoura focused, I do kind of have the idea that there might be a little bit of like Doi as like the advisor, and one of the Doi's colors that we haven't seen a lot in recent years, but it was a big color for him, is bright pink. We haven't had bright pink since World One International. Maybe it is watching one of the matches for the Kness stuff later on that kind of jogged in my head, and would not be surprised maybe if to see them in hot pink. I could see that happening.
Look, if they want to move T-shirts by the truckload, I think putting a Kota Minoura shirt in hot pink would be a very good idea. I think that is quite literally hitting the demographic as hard as they can that they're going for with this unit.
Yeah, I guess like the only thing that would stop me is that's Daya's keynote color, and they've already put out a lot of Daya stuff in bright pink. So maybe aqua, maybe like a strong aqua color,
Yeah, perhaps a strong aqua. We'll see when Corkin all rolls around.
It's going to be called Strong Aqua, and they'll be wearing Strong Aqua.
That'd be fantastic. Strong Aqua is a great unit name. If that's we need to pencil that away for when we have some booking power in our produce fed, because Strong Aqua is a heel trios unit that I would like to book.
Yeah, and they're all nautical themed.
It's the Super Delphin heel turn no one saw coming.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get Super Delphin. This is gonna be after one of us won Powerball, so we're gonna bring in Kairi, and she will be an evil pirate. So yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. All right, I'm on board. But I do not know what color they're gonna wear. I would imagine it's something on the more feminine side, a brighter, softer color, and I think Kota Minoura is gonna look very, very handsome in that.
Yeah, it's just something that kind of jogged my mind. I was like, oh, this is the last time we're going to be seeing like Ishida wearing like the pseudo RED tights. Minoura been wearing the masquerade stuff. Doi just saves all of his gear. So we'll probably be seeing the black and silver that he has the next time he is unaffiliated. So it's just something that, yeah, I remember the Big Six DVD that they put out that like I know I've talked about this like occasionally, like each member of the Big Six had their own section. And it was like Yamato went out grappling. Akira Tozawa was with his parents and Hyogo. And it was Naruki Doi going through all the gear that he saved in all of his jackets. Maybe he's just waiting for the big cash-in when he retires. When he sells it all off.
He's the reverse Gamma. Like, Gamma can't wait to sell his gear, and Doi he's holding on to it for dear life.
It's something, that like maybe he'll like piecemeal it out, just throw up like an armband 1 month, I mean, we'll have to see how the rampaging muscle gym goes, and he might need a new set of golf clubs because there's two things I know Doi loves. It's golf and the gym. So we'll have to see about that.
Me and Doi both.
Doi's Instagram used to be like him at all kinds of golf clubs, which was always really good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Also, good stuff, this opening match.
Yeah, so KZ, Genki Horiguchi, and UT versus Doi, Minoura, and Ishida. Minoura got the win with the gong on Genki Horiguchi. And just like off the top, like they've been running a lot of outpost matches for Champion Gate. And this one, you're plugging in Genki there, but you pretty much have, this is a Triangle Gate preview match. And like one of like my big takeaways is like, I feel like we can sense what the pair-offs are going to be in this match coming up this weekend. Because you had a lot of heat on UT from Naruki Doi, and I thoroughly enjoyed that in this opener.
Yeah, this is the strongest Minoura Doi Ishida trios match that we've seen so far. I knew they were going to get to a point where they looked really fluid and had their chemistry down. I wasn't sure if it was going to be before or after that Champion Gate match. I didn't know if they needed just a little bit more time before they challenge for the belts. No, they are locked. And if they wrestle anything like they did here on the big stage against an even better Natural Vibes team, that is going to be a stupendous match because they looked so strong in the closing moments of this match. It was really the cohesiveness that I was looking for, because I think all of them individually have looked good since they started teaming with one another, but I don't know if they had that cohesive bond yet. This match put to bed any reservations that I might have had about the trio. Really, really strong opener.
Yeah, and it's something that you like see them and like their finishing rush that they do, where they get someone up in the Casadora, and then you get Naruki Doi chopping him in the chest, and then Kaito Ishida does the one set kick, and then Minoru just dumps him and immediately gives him the gong. It looks like as soon as someone gets isolated, like Jacky Kamei, they get taken out rough by this finishing stretch. It's really been fun watching this team come together and gel over the last 5 weeks. I guess 5 weeks.
Yeah, if you go back to the podcast we did in mid-January when we did the rewind and rewatch for the rookie ranking tournament of 2019, I went on a pretty big diatribe there about Kaito Ishida and how if you're somebody that picked up Dragongate during the pandemic or maybe even later, you're used to seeing Ishida as this shit-kicking, loudmouth kickboxing sort of heel in RED, and if you only have that backstory of Ishida, you might look at a babyface turn as being pretty jarring, but we rewatched those matches and I reassured people on the podcast, like, I actually think his upside is as a babyface. And before COVID happened, which, by the way, depressing thought, I don't know if we want to sidebar on this, but after we're done with Champion Gate, that will mark 2 years of COVID capacity shows for Dragongate, which is really, really sad to think about. But up until that point, when Ishida was a babyface, the crowd calls he was getting were absolutely ridiculous. And it reminded me here in this match, he just looked so comfortable. It's not that as a heel, he was, better or worse than he was as a babyface. He obviously had that feud with Keisuke Ikuda, which we thought was the best thing of 2020. He killed it in that role. But something about seeing Ishida back in a babyface unit, even with the edge that he has, it's where I think he does his best work. And even if the focus is going to be Minoru and Doi, and he is clearly the third guy in this unit, that is a dynamite third guy to have.
Yeah, and it's something that I think that you're going to need him really strong in this unit, because it's very clear that they try to get Kota Minoru comfortable as possible on the microphone. I don't think he's going to be much of a talker, really. It just seems like maybe it comes along later from he's still super young, but Kaito Ishida can cut hell of a promo. Like, even though a lot of it is him calling people in the crowd ugly, he was cutting great babyface promos before RED. And that was like another thing about like people missed out on, because you're absolutely right. Like, he basically started like that's the thing that sucks about, that's one of the many things that sucks about COVID, was like that heel turn was so hot, and it was like, oh, this is going to be so fascinating here, the crowds like turn on him, and we didn't get much of that at all.
Yeah, but I think he's back in the right spot now. That heel turn, crowd or not, served its purpose. I think it gave him a much needed layer to his character and his overall story, and now he's back in this role. And obviously, the forefront, like I said, is going to be Minoru. I think he's winning the belt at Kobe World, if not sooner. But the longer this unit goes on, I think we could see it almost as like a slingshot effect for Ishida, where if he's ever going to get to that top place on the card, I think it is going to be as a result of this unit and the work that he can kind of do almost under people's noses, just given the focus of the other guys that are involved already.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually like the best case is like, all right, so Doi is the advisor, really, and it's all focused around Minoru, but it's something that, I mean, like, RED in a lot of ways, especially when Ishida came in, like, he was not the nominal number 2 by a lot of stretches of imagination, but it really, in a way, like, he had that belt for so long, and then he was the one other than Eita who was doing a lot of the mic work there, and Doi's going to have someone to talk to. And it's going to be Kaito Ishida, I feel like. And that's going to be such a slingshot for him. Getting back to the match, light night for Genki Horiguchi. Don't blame him. He was there for a purpose. But like you had KZ versus Ishida in this, and had like a great exchange there. And that's why I was like, okay, it's definitely going to be KZ and Ishida. We're going to get UT and Doi, and then Kamei against Minoru. And we all know how that's probably going to go there. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. I went 3.5 stars on this.
Yeah, I'm at 3.5 as well. And like I mentioned last week, I'll say it again here. The chemistry between KZ and Ishida is something to take note of as we quickly approach the King of Gate season. Those are two guys that have only had, they've had two singles matches, one on Nex and one in a dark match. That is something that we're going to need to roll out. That, they're running that triple shot in Hokkaido like they always do for King of Gate. That really feels like a night one in Hokkaido main event, Ishida versus KZ. I'd really like to see that this year.
Ooh, we should. I'll put it on the whiteboard later. We should do our Dream King of Gate matchups if we.
You
have
know
a
what?
light week.
It's funny you say that, Mike, because I'm gonna pitch another King of Gate idea later. It's in my notes.
All right. Moving on to match two. Match two was a singles match. Jacky Funky Kamei versus Takuma Fujiwara. It was a 15-minute time limit draw where describing the finish kind of gives a lot of it away, but this match might be it's not like my highest rated match of the year so far, but like this is like my favorite match of the year so far. I thought that this was truly exceptional work from both Kamei and Fujiwara, and I want to go back in November and shake ourselves and say, like, yeah, you think this Fujiwara case seems kind of like a blank canvas now. Just wait for 3 months and see what he's able to do, because I thought this was a special match.
So, if you have not seen this match and you have any intention of going back and watching this Kobe show, pause the podcast, watch the match, come back, enjoy the rest of the show, because from this point forward, we need to talk about the finish of this match, which, as I give them more time to stall and pause and go watch the match, was a 15-minute time limit draw that was thrilling from opening bell to closing bell.
Yeah, and it's like stuff like that. They started doing like the grappling, like, wow, Takuma Fujiwara works really well on the mat. Like he was like pulling out like submissions and like an overall story of this that like that they're able to kind of like, and they've really kind of like with between this and the post-match stuff with like both KZ and who also was in the ring, NUT, basically like pulling Fujiwara aside and say, go get him. Like they've told this really efficient story of this kid is on a hot streak now, and everyone kind of is like taking stock of like, this kid is something special. But he starts off for like the first 9 minutes pretty much dominating Kamei. Kamei's able like to chop him down and be able to do this, but Fujiwara is able to have his number, and then it gets into a back and forth until you get to have someone who is more experienced against the rookie, and Kamei was able to get him down on the mat and was going for all kinds of crab variations and it looked like he was just holding on by like his fingertips until the bell rang. And it just was a tremendous story. And both guys, like, you know how I feel about Kamei. This is a great Kamei performance because he's in the ring with someone who's only been wrestling for 4 months, and they were able to have a 4.25-star match.
Do you remember the t-shirts that were prevalent 10 to 15 years ago that a lot of short, arguably cute women would wear that said, "I'm not short, I'm fun-sized"?
Yes.
Yeah, this was the fun-sized version of a Dreamgate match, and it's territory that I don't know if either man will ever approach. I certainly feel more bullish about Fujiwara getting there than Kamei, just given their size, but this had that pacing that I think longtime Dragongate fans are really comfortable with, where it's a 15-minute match, and the first 5 minutes is a pretty thorough feeling out process. These are two high intensity, high impact, flashy guys, and there's not a lot of flashiness. And what I love about Fujiwara, and I think it's going to really aid him as he goes along in his career, especially in multi-man matches, I think it'll become much more prevalent there, is once he flips the switch, once he's on, it is such a shocking 0 to 60 of this guy going from feeling out process to hitting big moves. And what I liked in this match was we saw him add just a little bit more to his arsenal. We know his offense pretty well at this point because he's 4 months into his career. He's 20 years old. More on that and the history he can make later. And so we saw the slingshot double stomp, but this time we saw it followed up with a lion salt. We saw him throw all these chops in there, and now when he was finally able to get the upper hand, he went to the Fujiwara armbar. We saw him and Kamei trade these flash pins back and forth. At one point, it looked like Fujiwara was going to beat him with a roll-up right before Kamei kicked out. It's just these little things that we've seen. I'm so curious to see what he does on this Korakuen Hall show, to see that final layer before we get to Osaka. What is he going to add that could aid him in this match against Dragon Dia? Because right now, this kid is so far from a complete project, but my God, is he talented.
And it's something that, like, it's natural to compare him to SB Kento, but they're two completely different beasts. And Fujiwara, it's something where it's like his in-ring, if it's not close to getting there, it's further along than most people I've ever seen 4 months into their career. It's like you're talking about like Yu Nakayama, you're talking about Shingo Takagi, you're talking about Takeshi Morishima, you're talking about Utami Hayashida, you're talking about Kurt Angle. Like, this is a guy that, I mean, there's no training wheels on him anymore. They've already given him his second set of gear. He looks like a star. He is still growing. He's putting on muscle at an alarming pace. Guys, remember when he was kind of skinny?
Yeah, and that was, I was like, well, he's 19 years old. Hopefully he'll fill out. I was going to give him like 3 years to do that, but he has taken that assignment and ran with it.
Yeah, no, like this is like the inverse of whenever Benkei decides to like bulk up. Like, this guy just like, I don't know what it was, if he just has just been eating like chicken breasts every hour and a half for the last month and a half, but he looks like a star. And it's something where it's like the crowd buys into him at a level that's shocking. And we don't necessarily like saying like him and SB Kento, like that's the point of comparison, but it's really not fair to him because SB Kento was his own entity, at least with like presence and charisma. If you combine those two together, though, you pretty much have like the surest supernova I think I've seen in a long time.
Well, the feedback that I've given SB Kento and Fujiwara at this point in their career, let's be generous and say SB Kento 6 months in, Fujiwara 4 months in. Hell, I said this about SB Kento last year when he was over a year into his career. The character work is there. I said from SB Kento's first match, December 22nd, 2019, I said, this is going to be a problem. Like, this kid has something, projects himself in a way that only future world champions project themselves in. And I still fully believe that, and he has done nothing but reaffirm my convictions that this guy is going to be the top dog one day. But I said even last year, his in-ring is not all the way there. He's checked all of these boxes off of doing the cage match, of having the Dragongate brawl, of being able to tell all these stories, but it's not like SB Kento can go out there and just rip off a 4.5-star match on a show like this. We've seen him thrive in the biggest moments because he has all of these stories behind him. What we're getting with Fujiwara is somebody who, we don't know a ton about his character yet, even though there was a lot of what I'll say, antics aided by his young boy status in this match that really helped. Him getting put in that half crab and essentially hitting referee Yagi with like a swim move, like you would see a defensive lineman do, to move him out of the way to get to those ropes before Kamei pulled him back to the middle of the ring and then the bell rang. There's stuff like that I just adore, but we don't know a ton about Fujiwara as a character. What we do know is that we're 2 full months into 2022, and Fujiwara on almost every show he's been on has been the highlight from the in-ring perspective, and that is mind-blowing to me.
I think that, barring, obvious things, he's the clubhouse leader for the Worldwide Rookie of the Year in 2022.
And that is something very important to note. From the Hashi brothers onwards, because the Hashi brothers were not eligible in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards this past year. From Ricky and Ishin onwards, and then the 4 kids that debuted at the end of the year, those guys are all going to be eligible for that award this year. And I would love to see, in the same way that Lucha voters a few years ago finally put their heads together and agreed on what luchadors should get into the Hall of Fame, maybe this is the year that the Dragongate Brain Trust, the Western fans, really put their heads together and rally for one guy to win one award.
All right, guys, it's March 1st. It's 8:32 Eastern Standard Time. We're putting out the call. We will be following up with this. We will be pestering. But Takuma Fujiwara, 2022 Rookie of the Year.
And while we're at it, not to get greedy, but the Booker of the Year, and look, it should have been Tony Khan. I don't have an issue with that, but it doesn't have to be Genki Horiguchi. We could all get together and say that Konomama Ichikawa books this promotion for all I care. The issue that I have is with some of these honorable mentions in the best booker category: Rossy Ogawa, the guy
Case,
from the
don't Case. We don't have the time this week for this. We don't have the time this week for this.
Outside of Tony Khan, who won by 500 votes, and he should have. I would have voted Tony Khan too. But the other 6 people to receive votes for Best Booker this year were Rossy Ogawa, the UFC guy, Gato, Brett Lauderdale, and Nozawa Wrong Guy.
I mean, Nosawaism is a valuable methodology. It's just in the wrong place at this time.
Print out the Dragongate roster, paste them to the wall, put on a blindfold, throw a dart at the roster. Whoever the dart lands on, that's who we'll all vote for. But we cannot let Brett Lauderdale finish with more Best Booker votes than Dragongate. I'm sorry if you like Game Changer. That's fine. We can't let him finish 5th in Booker of the Year. Bad job out of the wrestling community for voting for Brett. 26 people, Mike, voted Brett Lauderdale as the best Booker of professional wrestling in the year of our Lord 2021. What is that?
Well, Case, I have a guy that we should. I have a guy. It's Ryo Saito. He is the general manager.
Oh, okay, fantastic. All right.
There we go.
Look, Revolution coming up for AEW. I love the build to it. I'm a big fan of what Tony Khan's doing. I'm assuming he's going to win the award again. But right now, Ryo Saito is the answer if you're not voting for Tony Khan. Don't let Rossy Ogawa win. That is the motto of the Open the Voice Gate podcast.
In many ways. In many ways. In many, many ways. But let's get back to something that's not going to infuriate me, Case. I'm a full believer in Takuma Fujiwara now. And I know that I'm someone that, like, I'll find my guys like Kamei, like you were for Kabune, I was for Kamei. But I knew what Kamei's ceiling was. Fujiwara is a special entity. Like, SB Kento is a supernova. This guy is like a galactic event entering. It's just phenomenal.
It's insane. And like I will continue to say, he's only 20 years old. I have so many questions about his physicality, how he's going to build his body, and how he's going to age. And I feel like there's too many unanswered questions for me to throw a projection on for him, but right now sky is the limit because, again, we watched that November Gate of Origin show where he debuted, and Fuda, I think, clearly had the better debut match. Our response on Fujiwara was, that was fine. You know, we'll see what he can do. Did it make a big impression on me? Very by the basics debut match. Nothing wrong with that. And boy, oh boy, did he come out in December and say, I'm actually going to be the front runner of this class. Screw you, Shoya Sato. Screw you, Ryo Fuda. This is my class, and I'm taking over. And he has done just that. I mean, this is, and we'll talk about it more when we preview Champion Gate, what we can of Champion Gate, a monumental opportunity that he is 20 years old, and not 20 turning 21. He is 19, just turned 20. And he is challenging for the Brave Gate belt in the semi-main event of Champion Gate in Osaka. That is huge.
It's let's hear it for Takuma Fujiwara.
Let's hear it for the boys.
Let's hear it for the boys. And you know what? He has the pink on his tights. He could be a hot boy. He's not a bad-looking kid.
Yeah, that is the direction that I think he's going to go. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm all for Fujiwara being a hot boy.
Match 3 was a Z-Brats versus unaffiliated tag team match. Shun Skywalker and Diamante versus Takashi Yoshida and Jason Lee. Shun won with the ultimate gaslighting, I would say, throwing the masquerade mask at Jason Lee, completely befuddling him, and then landing a schoolboy. And yeah, I mean, he's gonna gaslight, gatekeep, and girl boss. He's getting into Jason Lee's head, and you know, I liked this match a whole lot.
Speaking of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, I know that World Wrestling Entertainment fires people during record profits and labels it cost-cutting measures. I know they work with Saudi Arabia, but if you're looking for a more fun vote for the 2022 awards, most disgusting promotional tactic might be Shun Skywalker's gaslighting of Jason Lee, because it is messed up what he's doing to this guy.
Jason was like... I mean, like he just like a month ago, he was trying to figure out if Masquerade was still a thing. That's just mean. That's just terrible of Shun Skywalker. What a dickhead.
Well, we were talking about King of Gate earlier, and my pitch is that I want to find a way, and I don't know what the blocks are going to be this year. I mean, they could have a 32-guy King of Gate tournament this year with how stacked the roster is right now. If they really wanted to get, Horiguchi, Kanda, Yoshida, those bottom-tier guys, they could throw them in King of Gate, and we could have a massive tournament this year. I don't know what the plans are, but if we could get an all-Masquerade block, my initial pitch, I thought they were going to drag out the Dragon Dia story much longer, and I wanted Minoura, Skywalker, Yoshioka, Dia, Jason Lee, and Estrella in the Dead or Alive cage. That story has progressed so quickly that I don't think that's an option now, but if we could throw those guys in one single block, I would really like that.
I mean, I think we'd have to do a 4-person block there, because Estrella, that's asking a lot.
Well, but you're going to put Estrella with the Masquerade guys plus
That's
Yoshioka, and there's no one on the roster I would trust more with him than those guys, except for Diamante.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like, speaking of Diamante and Shun Skywalker, that could be a fun future Twin Gate challenge, you know?
This is in my notes. This is what I wanted to say. Summer Adventure Tag League 2022, if it were to happen, Shun and Diamante would be a team that I would want involved.
Yeah, they just like have really gelled in an awesome way, the two of them, and it's been a whole lot of fun. Like, they are like the mini Twin Towers of Dragongate, and that's really cool. And also, like, Takashi Yoshida just being the ball of charisma and the hot tag for Jason Lee in this match. Like, this was like 9 minutes, but it was a really fun 9 minutes, which is not something I often say for a Cyber Kong match.
Yeah, I'm at times very off-put by comedy and pro wrestling, but Jason Lee and Yoshida were making the comeback, and Jason does that spot where he does a somersault into the corner and then kind of hits his guy with a bunch of kung fu chops. And to see Yoshida follow it up by also somersaulting into the corner and then hitting, I don't know if it was Shun or Diamante, with the throat chop that he does. You know what? Well done, Takashi Yoshida. You popped me on that one. That was really, really good.
That's like an instant extra quarter star added onto a match. Like, let's be
I was like,
honest.
I hate to show this guy love, but damn, he got me on that one. That was really good. Speaking of star ratings, did you have an official star rating for Fujiwara versus Jacky Funky Kamei? I don't know if we said that or not.
4.25.
All right, I was at 4 flat. So spreadsheet material for both of us. Go watch that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was 3.5 for this tag just because of how much I enjoy Shun and Diamante. Like them by themselves, like versus the Hashi brothers would be like a 3.25 star match with me, and then you add the extra quarter star for Yoshida being the ball charisma.
Yeah, I'm at 3.5 for the opener, 4 for the second match, and 3.25 for this one. So at this point in the show, I was like, damn, Kobe Arts Center, we've got magic in this building. You know, this is really becoming a spectacular show. And then the show progressed from there.
Yeah, then we got into the longest Royal Sambo Battle Royal ever. Let's break this into phases: when it was fun and then when it just would not end.
Please.
I think that's a fair way, but when it was fun, it was when Sachioko Boy and Konamawa Chikawa both came out with boxing gloves and decided to have a boxing match, and then immediately went for a double KO, of which Masaki Mochizuki and Don Fuji got tagged in, and then they had a boxing match, and then it all went to hell.
Well, I will give you one more, because the first 6 guys in, it was Ichikawa and Sachi, it was Mochi Fuji, and then it was Super Shisa and Ho Ho Loon, and I was rubbing my hands together. I'm like, this is the dream team. Forget Ho Ho and Yoshida. I want Ho Ho and Shisa running roughshod through this roster. Here we go. And then everything after that fell apart.
It just went on forever.
Yes.
And they weren't eliminating people.
A 15-minute battle royal.
Yeah, 15-minute Battle Royal. And Dragongate Battle Royals, when Ultimo came back, one of the reasons why... Oh, and we haven't talked about this yet, Case. How was visiting the principal this week?
We'll circle back to me meeting Ultimo.
Okay.
I don't want to get distracted right now.
Yeah, we need to bury this match. It's something like, the fear was that these Dragon Rumbles just go on forever. They just get everyone on the card. No one looks good in them. And it just, like, you could, like, take great matches and make them out of the people in the Battle Royals. Like the first 6 guys, that is a fun 3-way tag. Give them all boxing gloves and let them go. And then it just went on forever. And the only other, like, note I had there is La Estrella eliminated himself doing a tope con hello.
So Do we think that was a planned spot, or do we think Estrella forgot the rules of the match and dove over the top rope?
I'm leaning the second, to be honest.
So I saw a message in the Discord about it, the Voices of Wrestling Discord, the Dragongate channel, which is the best channel on there, about somebody asking that question. It was before I had seen the match. And I thought, well, it is Estrella. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then I watched him dive over the top rope, and I was like, oh no, that was just a great comedy spot. They knew exactly what they were doing. And then I watched the way that the other 13 guys reacted to Estrella diving over the top rope, and I thought, oh no, Estrella just messed up. He was not supposed to dive over the top rope. So I don't know what happened, but oh boy, from this point on, this match just would not end.
Yeah, the final two were Susumu and Kanda. I'll run through the names because I didn't already. Susumu, Kagatora, Mochi, Fuji, Shisa, Kanda, Ichikawa, Strong Machine J, La Estrella, Ho-Ho, Riki Ihashi, no Ishin on this show, Ryu Fuda, and BB Hulk. And it came down to the former tag team partners, and Yokosuka put us out of our misery with the Jumbo no Kachi Gatame in 15 minutes and 21. And perhaps, like, peaks and valleys, the most peaks and valleys Royal Sambo I've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of times these matches are very fun. It's why, when Ultimo came back and they started doing these battle royals, and it might sound silly now that we're 2.5 years into this, but when battle royals came back, I was like, absolutely not. Ultimo Dragon's influence is a problem for this promotion. Dragongate doesn't do battle royals. That was some Toryumon stuff. And then with the Royal Sambos they've done for the past year, I was like, oh no, these are very fun. They get everybody on the card. I get to see Super Shisa. Like, this is okay. This was a step in the wrong direction. This was a rare bad battle royal, and those are hard to screw up.
Yeah. Let's continue the misery case. 8-man tag team match. It was high end versus unaffiliated. Yamato, Dragon Kid, and Benkei and Keisuke Okuda versus Eita and the Scrubs. It was Eita, Yosuke Santa Maria, Problem Dragon, Punch Tominaga. 14 minutes and 8 seconds. Benkei pinned Maria after Eita just did the Bobby Hill special, and I'll let you take the microphone here, because this is still like something that I'm wondering why this match even happened.
This was endless. If there's any positive about this match, it's that 5 years from now, when we're doing this show, when we're doing our Toryumon X retrospective podcast, we're going to need to reference this show for some reason, and we're going to look at this and we're going to go, wait, why was Eita the star of the promotion teaming with Mondai Ryu, Punch Tominaga, and Yosuke Santa Maria? And on paper, that's going to be really fun to revisit, but this was an excruciating 14 minutes. I thought this was going to follow the formula of Eita beating up Maria, feeding Maria to the other team, and being done. I thought this was going to be like a 3-minute match, because that's the way they constructed it at the beginning. And then instead, Eita kind of swerved on everybody and started to wrestle. And then this match just went 14 minutes with Mondai Ryu, Punch Tominaga, and Yosuke Santa Maria carrying the weight. And that is not an effective formula to have a good match. I am continuously intrigued. I have not gone cold on the story. The Eita Maria thing is really interesting, because I don't know how they're going to resolve their issues. But teaming with Punch and Problem Dragon and having matches with this story go for this long is not an effective way of getting to wherever they're going.
Yeah, I'm just ready for the next step. Like, this match was like, all right, let's see the next step in the storyline. Because
Which hopefully we get at Cork. And I mean, realistically, that's when the next chapter in the timeline should take place.
Right, yeah. So, like, I'm okay, like that they're hitting the gear change, hopefully at the right time. Like, the weird thing about this match was, like, Eita came out, he immediately ate an Ultra Hurricane Rana and went to the outside. Like, it looked like it was going to be like a 2-minute match.
That's the thing. They teased the Ultra Rana spot, and then, like, Puncher Maria comes and I'm like, all right, finishing stretch, here we go. And then it went another 10 minutes.
Yeah. And it was, like, Maria selling, and then just way too much punching Mondai Ryu for a semi-main event, even if it is, a Kobe show. So it just, like, I very rarely do this. This might be like a 1 3/4 star match, because for me, like, that's when you get into like actually bad, like really bad to me. And the work was not bad. It just was like, what are we doing here? Like, it was an existentially bad match. Like, what was it happening?
If the scale of an average match is 2.5 stars, I thought this was well below an average match. This was one of the few times throughout the year that we'll look at a match, and it's not even one that I get fired up about because ultimately it was so inconsequential, and for the most part I've enjoyed this story, but this was a rare bad match. This truly felt endless.
Right. Yeah, it just was. And it's something that, like, maybe it is that, like, with, like, Kobe shows, they do like to get nearly everyone on there. So it's like, oh, like this. So we're used to seeing, like, Ryu and Tominaga and Maria and the Battle Royal at this point. But it just was, like, something that's like, all right, like, you held out, like, you have your non-elite super face unit, and they need to have people that's like, oh yeah, let's just go get these guys and we'll continue the Ada and Maria story. So
even if you just flipped out Problem Dragon and Punch for, take two unaffiliated guys from the Battle Royal, Strong Machine J and Sachihoko Boy or whoever, I think this would be a stronger match. But, like I said, Eita took a Ultra Hurricane Rana 2 minutes into the match and then pieced out until the finishing stretch. So we were left with 11 or 12 minutes of the weakest wrestlers on the roster against high end, which is a tough battle for anybody, and we were left with a thoroughly uninteresting match.
Luckily, we had the main event case.
Did you like this as much as I did? Because I loved this match.
Yeah, so main event, 6-man. This was the big preview for the second night of Champion Gate. It was the champion team of Dragon Dia and Yuki Yoshioka, the Open the Twin Gate champions, teaming with the Dream Key holder, the number one contender to the Open the Dream Gate title, Big Boss Shimizu. First time that Dia and Yoshioka have teamed with other people since returning, versus Z-Brats, the Open the Dream Gate champion Kai, along with a pair of tremendous dickheads and the number one contenders for the Twin Gate, Hyo and SB Kento. Big Boss Shimizu got the win definitively over Kai with the shot put slam in 17 minutes and 54 seconds.
This, to me, and maybe you'll disagree, but to me this felt like Dragongate meets Jim Crockett Promotions, and perhaps it's a lazy comparison, I don't know, but all I could think watching this match was, one, anybody that is fading Shimizu is so off base because there are Dusty Rhodes similarities, we'll say. Again, I worry just because he's a bigger wrestler, that's perhaps a lazy comparison, but there was a lot of Shimizu being Dusty in this match. And then you had the strong character work of Hyo, Kai, and SB Kento. And so this was an 18-minute trios match that had layers of storytelling, and then they brawled, and then they had these really hot stretches with Dia and Yoshioka carrying the brunt of this match. And, it ended up being, to me, a 4-star match.
Yeah, and it really like felt like, because like I get your Crockett comparison, because it would be like, all right, Dusty teaming with like the upstart tag team going up against, the bad guys.
Yeah, Flair, Arn, and Tully or whoever.
Right, yeah. And it just like really felt like we're teaming up there, and you had like a very charming babyface side. And you had like this idea that like Dia is just like a ball of happiness whenever he comes out there, and he was like so like him on like in the corner, on the turnbuckle, just like getting so happy for Shimizu doing his stuff there. And I was like, this is like a good time thing. And then they brawled all the way up and down the cavern, and that was a lot of fun. And then Hyo and SB Kento just like being obsessed with rabbits is a thing now, because they kept on doing their rabbit jokes when they put Yoshioka and Dia and chin locks, and that cracked me up as well. Like, this was just, it hit all the notes. You got the preview, you got the teamwork, you got a brawl. Like, they've been very sparingly, they've treated the Z-Brats brawls very sparingly, which I like a whole lot. And I really feel like this was like a great way to get someone hyped up for Champion Gate, because we have this new heel unit. They feel great. We have the Twin Gate champions. They are a cohesive unit. They've been lighting up the shows ever since they returned. And you have Shimizu, who feels almost like a folk hero in a way. And just like things like, even had like the Crockett cell of when Shimizu put down Kai, and then he does the cartwheel and the Scott Hall taunt afterwards, and Kai just does the full flare flop there. That was like, all right, this is just a great time.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. The other thing I'll add, I thought it was really interesting, and this is not projecting their future in any way, nor is it a slight on Shimizu and Kai. I think it's just a reflection of how talented these two guys are, that we're in a 6-man tag main event with the Dreamgate champion and the Open the Dreamgate #1 contender, and it's SB Kento and Hyo, who I thought just popped off the screen with the way they carried this match. A lot of this match felt like their style of a match. And again, it's not. I mean, Shimizu and Kai were great. This was the go home match that I needed. I needed some sort of confidence in Kai to be able to put forth a great match with that belt around his waist, and he did. But boy, oh boy, did I like seeing Hyo and SB Kento rise to the occasion with genuine stars in the ring with them.
Yeah, and it's something that, like we've been saying since Z-Brats formed, that it's like, all right, Kai is nominal leader, but it really does feel like this unit is SBK and Hyo, and this was a match that really felt like, all right, this is kind of them just being tremendous assholes throughout it, and doing the brawling and just hitting every note here. Like, this is an easy 4 flat for me.
Yeah, 4 stars from me as well, to go along with the 4-star Fujiwara versus Kamei match. A very fun Kobe show. If you essentially... If this show was a sandwich, you would just want the bread. Take the first 3 matches, or take the first 2 matches. Oh no, first 3. How many matches were on this show? Let me pull up this card real quick.
6 matches.
Let me figure out this stupid analogy before we go any further. You're gonna want the first 3 matches and the final match. Forget the sandwich analogy. It didn't work. I didn't stick the landing. We're gonna move on. All in all, Kobe was a very fun show.
I can make this work, Case.
Here we go.
All right. I love a good French dip. It's one of those things that I don't get a whole lot because it's terrible for you. But what
the dramatic pause you took after I love a good French dip, I would not be doing my job if I did not point out how beautiful that was. Go ahead, set the scene. Mike Spears loves a French dip. You have the floor, Mike. Go.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, French dip, you get French bread, you get Swiss, you get roast beef, you griddle the sandwich, and then you have the au jus to dip it in. This show is, the bread's tremendous. The cheese is melted perfectly, but it's some of the grossest roast beef ever. That's what this show was.
Bravo to you. Well done, sir.
Hey, I was gonna make it work. I liked what you're throwing down, and that's why we're a team. You throw the alley oop and I dunk it home. Yeah, just an absolute fun show. This is a show that, when we get Case, when we start talking in the year, I'm going to try to remember this show as like a small show of the year, just because you had 2 4-star matches on a non-Cork and non-big show. That's worth keeping in the back of your mind when you consider best small show of the year.
Yeah, when we did the 2021 awards and we were looking at the smaller shows, it was a little hard to decipher some of them because it was a great RED versus Masquerade match on this show and a great RED versus Masquerade match on that show. This one will stand out from the crowd simply for that Fujiwara Kamei match. That is going to be an easily identifiable and memorable match when we hit December of this calendar year.
Yeah, no, this is something that is going to be a whole lot of fun, and it's going to be up until the 7th. I mean, get yourself a Dragongate week. I know it's Revolution week. I know it's AEW week. I'm going to be watching all of it. Case, you're going to be watching all of it, but treat yourself.
Perhaps there's some audio coming between the two of us about AEW Revolution. Perhaps. I'm not saying there is, but perhaps.
Perhaps it's the first month best time to sign up to a certain Patreon. Perhaps.
It just think about this, and I'm no party planner, but you could build your first week around March. Let's say you haven't seen this Kobe show yet. So you're going to listen to this podcast. You're going to watch the Kobe show, hopefully on March 2nd. I beg of you that you're listening to the show on March 2nd. March 3rd is Cork and Hall. Mike, do you know what is on the pro wrestling calendar on March 4th, 2022?
Well, it is a live Revolution from Orlando, for one, but what else?
That's not Revolution, right? Rampage.
Rampage, yes, that's right.
Okay, I was not referring to AEW Rampage.
I was thinking about my own personal calendar case. What other show there is there? Sorry, English, Mike.
Don't yell at me. I agree with you. On March 4th, 2022, from Shinjuku Face, it is the Ryukyu Dragon Pro Show with Yamato and Garukin Mask against Takashi Sasaki and Jun Kasai, as well as KZ and UT challenging for those tag titles. So if you can get Twit casting to work, which is a maybe, March 4th, you have that show. The 5th and the 6th is Champion Gate in Osaka. I'm going to try to watch both of those shows live, so I'll be tweeting from the @OpenVoiceGate account. And then Sunday night, you end your weekend with Revolution.
I mean, oh gosh, we're gonna get a lot of we're gonna get Gurkha Mask on Thursday. I just realized that. Thank you for reminding me.
We're gonna see Gurkha Mask dance with natural vibes again.
Yeah, I can't wait, bro. That's so sick.
That's I'm so there's not a lot to love with Pro Wrestling Noah and DDT, and if you're a Tokyo Joshi Pro type, that too. But I have been a Wrestle Universe subscriber all year, and that is such a good streaming service, and it makes me so upset. And part of what I love about it is that they're now broadcasting these 0-1 shows live on Wrestle Universe, these Cork and Hall 0-1 shows. I want this Ryukyu Dragon Pro show on the Dragongate network. That it drives me insane that that's not happening, that I have to go to Twitcasting instead, and I don't know how to work that.
Yeah, and here's the other thing about that. We know it's a partner promotion. We know. Come on. Come on.
Come on. Put it on the network.
Come on.
I know we have a loaded week next week, but if we can get footage of this show, we will be talking about Yamato and Gurkha Mask versus Sasaki and Kasai, because I really want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be doing a disservice if we don't, you know?
No, we are the official Dragon System podcast, and if Jun Kasai is going to show his face in the Dragon System, we're going to talk about it.
Oh God, he might be in Corkin on Thursday too.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's got hey, COVID. It's all, you can't have visitors hanging out. Jun Kasai feels like a visitor. We can't be doing that.
So
if Jun Kasai shows up, I would be so bummed if I wake up on Thursday morning. Those Corkin shows happen like basically from the time I wake up to my commute into work until my job starts is basically the time frame of these Cork and Hall shows now. I would be so bummed if I fire up my little work computer, go onto Twitter, and I see Jun Kasai's face on my screen if he's in Cork and Hall. It's going to bum me out so much. Hey,
I'm the one reviewing it, buddy.
That's right.
I'm the one that's going to bite the bullet if there's a Jun Kasai match here.
That's very true. I will be reviewing both of those Champion Gate and Osaka shows for voicesofwrestling.com. Mike is doing me the favor, and we'll have the written review of that Cork and Hall show. Before we talk about Champion Gate, attended an indie wrestling event over the weekend, Mike. Is this the appropriate time to talk about me meeting the principal?
I would say so. So how was it in the GALLI arena meeting Ultimo Dragon?
I want to talk about Ultimo. I also want to talk about this GALLI show for a little bit because I have a lot of thoughts on it, mostly positive. This show took place in Melrose Park, Illinois. That means nothing to anybody listening, but I just needed to know that I took 2 trains and an Uber to get to the show. It took me about 70 or so minutes to get to. I would do it again for Ultimo in a heartbeat because all I wanted, I've seen Ultimo once live before. So I'm at AAW in 2017. I was a freshman in college when I saw Ultimo, and this is 2017. This is before he had worked his way into Dragongate. And I think I've said this on the show before, but my opinion was like, oh, Ultimo, he's coasting on this legacy. He doesn't work hard. He turned his back on Dragongate. I don't want to deal with this guy, even though I drove 90 minutes to go see him. But I was glaring at him from the merch table. I did not want any part of Ultimo that night. A few years later, 4.5 years later, Ultimo's the dude. I love this man. He is, the definition of work smarter, not harder. And I had to go see that in person again. And I really wanted a mark pick with Ultimo Dragon this time around. So I show up to this high school gym, which was a very nice place to watch a pro wrestling show, honestly. And I clock Ultimo as soon as I walk in. One of my big takeaways from this evening, and this crowd was fantastic. It was maybe 70% families in attendance, and I love being at shows with kids because they react so much stronger to most things.
Oh, yeah.
and they react to the weirdest things. It's a really fun way to watch a show. This whole crowd, I'll talk about the crowd in a second. It was so much fun. Bandito over like a god. Aerostar and Drago, really long lines at their merch table. El Macias, the former Mil Muertes from Lucha Underground, might as well have been Hulk Hogan. I could not believe the reaction that guy got. Ultimo Dragon? not a line at that merch table. I walked my ass up to him, big smile on my face. I'm a mustache guy now. I don't know if people knew that before I posted that picture. I have grown a mustache. I've been looking for a way to talk about it on this podcast for about 6 weeks now. This is my opportunity to do it. New personality. I have a mustache. I walk up to him, big smile on my face, Dragongate t-shirt. I'm thinking like, oh, he's gonna pop for this Dragongate shirt. He's gonna know I'm a real one. You know, I didn't watch him in WCW. I don't care about his WWE run. I know Ultimo from like What's Up. I'm a big Dragongate head. I'm thinking like, is he gonna understand what a podcast is? I want to tell him I have a Dragongate podcast, and he clocks me walking up. And vibes immediately off. He's looking at me going, this kid's going to talk about Toryumon X. He's going to say something dumb. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
He's going to talk about Los Carros Exoticos, and I don't want to talk about this. I'm here to make money.
Yeah, I thought Taiji Ishimori was going to be a star. What can I say? So just again, Ultimo, so happy you're here. Such a big fan of Dragongate, and he just points at the merch table and like the price of everything, and he's got a I don't know if the appropriate term is handler. He had somebody with him who was doing most of the communicating with me, and she was like, okay, t-shirt $25, picture and an autograph 30. These masks are 600. And I said, wait, hold on. How much for the mask? I wanted like a little commercial Ultimo Dragon mask for my apartment.
Sure. Yeah.
He's only selling the pro grade, possibly ring worn Ultimo Dragon mask. There is no little gimmicky mask here. He is going top shelf, Ultimo. And I should note, and again, I asked this lady 3 times. I said, how much did you say the masks were? And she said $600. There's a sign. You can see it in the photo I took with him. The masks say $150, which even that is outrageous. I should note the guy sitting next to me bought an Ultimo Dragon mask and wore it during the entire show. But I want a picture with him. I'd pay the $30, get my autograph on the Toryumon Reunion 8x10. Ultimo doesn't come out from the table to take the mark picture, which is really concerning because I know it's going to make me look fat in the picture, which it did, and it was very upsetting. But big handshake with Ultimo, throw my arm around him, hit him with the peace sign. Ultimo, I just want to say, I'm so happy you're in Dragongate. It's so good to see you on those shows. And he kind of hits me with a, yep, okay. And that was the end of it. And then I realized at that point, I was like, okay, well, it's 30 minutes before bell time. I traveled an hour to get here to do one thing. I just did that thing. There was a part of it was like, I could go home now. Like, I don't actually need to see Ultimo wrestle. But I walked around. I could not pull the trigger because, like I said, I took the train there and then an Uber. On the way back, I was just going to Uber home, but I knew it was going to be a bad look if somehow I ended up back on Chicago public transportation and I had like a Santo mask in my hand and like an Ultimo Dragon 8x10 of the other. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hold off on the merch tonight. If I can get a viable ride next time from, Rich at Voices of Wrestling, or just, whatever happens if I, God forbid, make a friend with a car that wants to go to a lucha show, like I can hit the merch table harder next time. But this is one of those deals where I've got the 8x10. I'm going to stay humble. I'm going to sit my white ass down and I'm going to watch this lucha show, which was so much fun. I had the time of my life at this show because the crowd was so great. Like I said, it was mostly families, but the people that were there, even if they weren't with a family, they had drums, they had fufazelas. Do you know the like the wooden thing that you wind up and it makes a ton of noise? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know the name of that?
God, I should know this. I would see them at Marlins games all the time. I'm looking this up right now. Baseball musical instruments, because you'd have that, and there's also like the one that almost looks like a washboard. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's the best because like making names the entire or making noise the entire time. Like it's the reason why I go to big time shows, because the kids will be out there. But like a lucha show, that sounds like even more of a blast. To be honest,
it was absolutely insane. And if a Cubs fan is gonna be yelling in his car once again because I can't think of the name of this. If you know the name of it, hit us up on Twitter. But it was just loud. It was just noise the entire time. And it was the greatest thing. The undercard, I will say, I love these shows. I will be back at some of these Galley shows in the future, especially if they're not running Sunday nights, because that was tough for me to do that from as far away as it was and then get up for work the next morning. If they run Friday or Saturdays, I am there. The undercard stuff was so bad it was fun. I saw a girl land on her neck giving someone an arm drag, which I had never seen before. And then after intermission, the heavy hitters come out, and there was a 6-man. It was Team Lucha Underground versus Team Galley. And unfortunately, I don't know the names of anybody that was representing the home promotion, but on the Lucha Underground side, it was Aerostar, Drago, and El Macias. I would say this is a 4-star trios match. I mean, this was so much fun. Watching Aerostar in person is a totally different animal. The air he gets, even in a ring like this where the middle rope was really shaky, which is quite nerve-wracking to watch Aerostar work with a shaky middle rope. Oh my God, that match was phenomenal. The semi-main was Bandito and somebody who I don't know the name of because they did an injury angle before the match. They took out his original partner. Sam Adonis came in and destroyed this guy's arm. So they had a homegrown guy come out. I did not catch his name, but it was Bandito and him against Golden Dragon and Atomico Jr. And again, you would think Bandito was the biggest star in all of pro wrestling with the way this crowd reacted to him. They did this crazy crowd brawl. I don't know if it would hold up on tape, and I haven't seen any footage of the show, so I can't say for sure. But in the building, watching Bandito brawl with these guys in the high school bleachers, and then, in between that, just guys glomming onto Bandito like he's their hero, like he's their idol. I mean, it was really, really cool to see in person the way they reacted to this guy. That match was a lot of fun too. And then the Ultimo match, it was him and Arrow Boy against Sam Adonis and Puma King. Puma King, very fun to watch in person. I did not realize he was as big as he was. That is a large human. Mike, how do you think the Ultimo Dragon Indie Match Tour main event went?
I am willing to guess here. I did manage to find the Lucha Database card, but it doesn't have most of it, the show on there. It does have Arab Boy and Ultimo versus question mark. So you guys see La Impresa. But
does it have Bandito's partner on there?
El Bandolero.
Now, that was the original partner, and then they took him out with an injury angle. I don't know who this guy was. He was good. I liked him. And I wish I knew his name so I could give him the plug, but it's not in the cards.
So, Ultimo, I'm guessing he did his spinning kick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He did his Bulldog Head Scissors takeover.
I can't even guarantee that.
And he probably did a couple of chops and arm drags.
Chops and arm drags for sure. That I know he did.
Hell yeah. What a worker. What a worker.
Ultimo was on spring break vacation. This man maybe took 5 bumps, and I'm being very generous with what I call a bump. He let Arrow Boy take a lot of this match. A lot of Puma King on Arrow Boy in this. I saw a lot of those interactions. Ultimo just kind of hanging out at ringside. And then I don't know what happened on the finish, but the heel team just kind of rolled up Arrow Boy, and Ultimo just watched it happen. Like, he may know what...
That's what he does in Dragongate. He just watches pinfalls happen. He doesn't care. And it's great.
He wasn't being held by Sam Adonis on the apron. He wasn't trying... he wasn't being thwarted from getting in the ring. He just watched his partner get pinned, and then, okay, all right, on to the next town. And it was such a glorious thing to see in person, because I was just talking with someone about it. I don't remember who it was, but just... Ultimo has become such a charming individual in Dragongate, where he worked, the second or third match on the card. And I always say, I think I could have a match with Ultimo because I know all of his signature spots. Mike, you just listed all of his signature spots. It's so fun to see him in Dragongate when he's with these world-class wrestlers doing his thing. And then you watch him on an indie show, and that charm is just gone. It is just a guy who is collecting a paycheck, and rightfully so. He's one of the most famous pro wrestlers for 30 years now. He's earned this. But my man did not exactly punch the bump card too often on this night. This was a very easy Ultimo performance.
I mean, he doesn't punch the bump card on most nights.
It's very true, but
I respect it. I would say that's
absolutely.
not a dig. That's not a dig. Ultimo, I'm beyond work rate. I've transcended work rate. I'm about working. Ultimo might be one of the greatest workers working today. I mean, $600 for a mask, that is magical. That is fantastic.
Dude, I swear to you, this woman said $600. I said, wait, how much? And she said 600. And then I moved on. And then as I was exiting the conversation, I thought, so Roy Lucier took a picture with Ultimo the night before, and I thought Ultimo was selling face masks, like COVID face masks, and I was going to be in on that, but it turned out to just, from the picture, it looked like a mask. It ended up being a towel, and I don't need an Ultimo Dragon towel. I have a lot working against me just in my social life, and Ultimo Dragon towel is not going to help things. But I wanted to give him money. I wanted to hook him up, at the merch table, other than with the $30 for a picture and an 8x10. And so I said one more time, I was like, just to be clear, how much was the mask? She told me $600. Maybe she just saw my Dragongate shirt and was like, oh, this guy's gonna buy it. And I thought about it, but I swear to you, she said $600 for an Ultimo Dragon mask.
I respect that so much. I've been looking up because he does sell his gear a lot. So
he sells those gimmick masks. Because I remember at the AAW show, Rich from the Flagship Podcast has like a $20 Ultimo mask.
Right.
And I wanted one of those to put next to my Universal Lucha Libre poster. So when women come into my apartment, they know what's up. I thought it was going to be a really nice display. I was going to make it the pro wrestling poster possibly look less dumb or way more dumb. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell what the vibe was there. But no, Ultimo was only selling the professional grade worker quality masks on this evening.
Yeah, I went to the website where he usually sells stuff in Japan, and all he's selling now are photo books or autograph for Takayama. So I can't immediately quote to see how much you are getting worked there.
Let me see on the Gaiora Dragongate website, the Shop DG Pro, Ultimo Dragon goods.
Hold up, but while you do this, Bushi is right now charging 110,000 yen for a mask that he used.
And give me the rough conversion on what that is in USD.
I will do that right now. 110,000 yen. Make sure don't forget a zero there to USD. That is $956.51.
That's awesome. On the Shop DG Pro site, he's selling one for what turns out to be like $35. That's what I wanted. I would have bought one of these, but
oh, for sure,
not at the cards on this evening.
Yeah, it looks like that everything was fated against you. So, Case, now you are a big GALLI Pro fan, and
I really am. That show. The point I wanted to make about that was. And the answer to this is not just to appropriate lucha culture, because obviously those fans have an expectation of what that show should be and what their role should be in it. And I will tie this back to the Dragon system, it made me think of how uninventive for 20 years, and we just celebrated the 20th anniversary of Ring of Honor, so it's the perfect time to look at this. For 20 years now, how uninventive American indie promoters have been at pushing their product. Every show, unless you are blessed with a Reseda Legion Hall or a Laboom, or of course, a Manhattan Center or a Hammerstein, a building that does more than just house your show, a building that takes on a life of its own, which is something organic that you can't create. Every show is the same, and every crowd feels the same, and the presentation of it is all the same, and you get transported into this Lucha Indie Show universe, and you are watching a completely different animal. And it's why, we could make fun of some of the things that Gabe tried at the start of the Dragongate USA run, but stuff like having thunder sticks, I think does so much more good than it does harm, and losing those really hurt the atmosphere of some of those early Dragongate USA shows, because people give up. Again, I don't need every indie show to have a drummer in the crowd like this show did, but it would help if they tried something new, because the format of indie wrestling has now been the same since February 23rd, 2002, when Ring of Honor was born.
Yeah, and it's something that, like, when I talk about Big Time is still cribbing off of 1983. So it's something, the fact that, like, GALLI, and with the fact that, like, I know that GALLI, like, bringing in, like, those names, I know how, like, they somewhat advertise. They are not going for a normal indie audience. I think that's a fair way to put it. And instead going towards family. And this was something that was always the big thing about when Rush was ROH champion. Like there was like very little, from what I could tell, outreach marketing towards Latinx communities.
Yeah, no, that'll go down as one of the most fascinating things from late stage Ring of Honor is Rush, Bandito, Flamita will throw in Ray Horace, and obviously all of Rush's family. And to my knowledge, they only attracted the Ring of Honor fan base. I don't know. I don't think there was a groundswell of Hispanic fans that gravitated toward this promotion. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But that was never the impression that I got, despite the fact that they were booking some of the biggest names in Lucha.
Yeah, and names that would sell out 1,500 seat discos in Atlanta for Mucha Lucha Atlanta all the time when Ring of Honor was having issues with that. So that's always something that, like, how big was the crowd there? I'm interested.
So they had, and I'm horrible with estimates. I'm going to give you a number that's way off. I'm just letting you know that before I start this mental gymnastics thing that I'm about to do. So 4 rows of chairs on 3 sides of the ring, plus the bleachers, and the bleachers were very full. I conservatively, I'm 200 to 300. I mean, that sounds right, but I'm horrible with that sort of stuff.
Hey, I mean, I know.
It seemed like if I think 250 is a very safe bet, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But it seemed like a 250-ish. And people that were there, again, the stars of this show: Bandito, Macias, Aerostar, Drago, to a degree, Ultimo. They knew who they were. They knew what their spots were. I mean, the Bandito German suplex deal that he does for his finish, like I said, it was like Hogan dropping the leg. I mean, everybody knew what that move was when he hit it.
That's just so sick. I love that.
It was, dude, Bandito. So Bandito, like I said, it's a crowd brawl, and he's up in the audience for a lot of it. And then the match finishes, and before they throw money in, and then before he goes to the back, he just goes up into the bleachers and starts taking photos with fans. And it was the coolest thing. I had so much fun at this show. It was such a good time.
That rules. That rules. I'm sorry that you almost got that Ultimo was trying to work you for a mask. Actually, I'm not sorry. Like, that's an honor.
Dude, he wanted no part of me. Oh, God, I loved it so much. He's just like, yeah, no, Dragongate, yep, okay, all right. Is that all you're buying? Okay. I wanted to talk this dude's ear off, but he was not having it.
God, that's so cool. I'm sorry. That is so cool.
No, this is a much better story than me having a conversation with Ultimo Dragon. This was me shaking his hand going, again, Ultimo, I'm so happy you're in Dragongate. I watch all the shows. Big fan. All right, cool. Moving on.
Cool, walk away, weirdo.
Exactly. I was like, maybe it was the old logo Dragongate shirt that I was wearing. Like, did I approach him and he saw Magnum Tokyo and got PTSD? Like, I don't know what it was, but boy, he clocked me and just had no interest.
Hey, he got his friend to make the new logo. You should have come correct or not come at all.
If he would sell that on his Pro Wrestling Tees page, or if the Dragongate UK sponsored Pro Wrestling Tees page would sell the new logo shirt, I would buy it.
That's fair. So Champion Gate is this weekend. We've talked a lot around this. We only know the title matches, but that's enough for us to talk about. It is the 5th and 6th for Mediana Arena Osaka 2. We have the Brave Gate and Triangle Gate on night 1. We have the Twin Gate and the Dream Gate on night 2. On night 1, we have Dragon Dia versus Takuma Fujiwara. And this is going to be, I think, a test, not of Fujiwara, but really, we have not seen much of Dia as a single since coming back. This is the one match that I don't see. Actually, the Dia matches I don't think are really in doubt here, but this is one that I'm interested to see Dia as a single, because remember how short that SBK match was. We really haven't seen him a lot unmasked as a singles wrestler. I think that'll be an interesting test against the black hole Takuma Fujiwara.
In his career, Dragon Dia, 29 singles matches. Only, if we look at post-pandemic stuff, he had 3 King of Gate 2020 matches, a singles match in an empty arena against Big R Shimizu, a no contest against Takashi Yoshida on the October 7th, 2020 Corkin Hall show, the 5-minute Dragon Dia Inferno DQ match at Kobe World 2020, a 11-minute no contest with Dia Inferno on November 5th, 2021, and then the 90-second Dragon Dia SB Kento Bravegate match. So the point of that is, it has been a long time since this man has wrestled a worthwhile singles match in front of a crowd, because the last time he had any singles matches of note was in the Empty Arena King of Gate, and then he went on to do the Dia Inferno stuff, which were all prolonged angles, and then the SB Kento match, which was so short. This is going to determine, I think, a lot of the vibe this week, and if this match disappoints, it's going to be really hard to get up for the other matches. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because I look at this match, and maybe this is recency with the Art Center show, and I have a belief this is going to be the match of the weekend. And if this match is a letdown, then, the other ones I'm not as high on anymore. Like it kind of takes things down a notch. So yeah, I'm with you on that, saying this is going to be the vibe check of the weekend.
I like the possibility of the main event of night one. I think that Doi Boy's Natural Vibes match could be a real scorcher if everything clicks the way it will. It's a lot of pressure to put on a 20-year-old to say that this could be the match of the weekend, but with the way he's performed, he's asked for this. I mean, this is the expectation that he now has, and him merely challenging for this Bravegate belt at 20 years old puts him into really rarefied air. If you look at the start of the Bravegate in 2005, the first champion was Doi. He was 24 years old when he won the title. And in an effort to try to find the youngest people that have even challenged for this belt, you run into a very odd pattern where the first few years of this title, it's all people in their mid-20s. It's guys 24, 25, 26, 27. And then once you get the first class guys start challenging for the belt, you get a little bit older that way. But it is a belt that is primarily a mid-20s belt, notably the notable exceptions being Generico, who challenged for the title in January of 2008. He was 23 years old when he challenged for the title then. MC KZ was just 22 years old when he wrestled Genki Horiguchi for the Open the Bravegate at Kobe World 2008, which is a super underrated match. I cannot recommend it enough if you haven't seen it. Tozawa was 23 the first time he challenged for the Bravegate. Same with Pac. Ricochet was 22. Eita was 21. Rich Swann was 22. And then you get into Flamita, who, if we believe the age that we've been given, and there's always been some conjecture about how old Flamita actually is, but Flamita was 19 and a half. He was born November 30th, 1994, and won the title on March 16th, 2014. He has Fujiwara beat. He will be the youngest Bravegate champion forever and ever and ever at 19 years old, winning that title. But still, you look at the other names here, they're all 24, 25. SB Kento was 21. Fujiwara, like I said earlier, he's not 20 going on 21. He is 19, just turned 20. And if there is any way that he wins this match, and I want to get your percentage of if you think Fujiwara can or will win, but he would beat SB Kento to the punch of now being the second youngest Bravegate champion ever.
I think that 20% chance, I would say.
20's much higher than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, just because they've really gone full court press with him, to a degree that, SB Kento, when he went from Kento Kabune to SB Kento, he won the title, but that was after, 11 months. This is someone that, does Takuma Fujiwara even have a cage match profile yet?
No, but
Yes.
I love our friends in Germany, but they are slacking on some of these cage match profiles. La Estrella doesn't have one yet, and he's been on the roster for a year now. I know you guys have a lot of data entry to do, but if we get on that La Estrella profile, that'd be great.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's going to be something that this match, it's going to be the test of both these guys. As you laid out, where Takuma Fujiwara can enter rarefied air, and then Dragon Dia singles matches this is such a aberration from how he's been booked for the first 4 years of his career, that I just like the reason why I'm giving him a punch chance is just because of like how he's just been like completely just this cosmic event that it feels like that. It's like, oh, this kid is really good now, so we're going full court press with him. And 20% is not a good shot. Like, you never take 20% odds gambling. So I don't think they're that high. How low are you on this?
I give Fujiwara maybe a 2% chance, but I'm still going to bite on every single near fall that he has.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's gonna be the test. Like, if they can get the crowd into like the double stomp near fall and like the cabrada near fall, then we know he has something. Would like to see like him like have more like of a moveset. Like the armbar was a neat thing to see on Sunday, but that's really what I want to see out of him. Is like we've seen him do a lot of stuff, but I want to see it that kind of congeal into like a actual moveset and not just holy shit, this rookie just did a insane slingshot double stomp, and that is an incredible cabrada he's able to pull off. I really like want to see him take the step into solidifying things.
They're going to give him every opportunity to do so. They've done that already with him. I think this is going to be more of the same. He has proven now in a singles match capacity with this Kamei match, he's answered the challenge. He seems to be able to handle everything they've thrown his way. I don't see why this match is going to be any different. What I'm most curious, actually, is if he gets his own theme song or if he sticks with the Future Dreams theme that all of the Future class, minus the Hashi brothers, have been using.
I think it's time for him to get the theme song.
I think that'd be a really cool moment. Either they debut it in Corkin or they debut it in Osaka. I think that'd be a very cool moment for him to debut that song.
Yeah, it seems like it would be appropriate for him. I mean, remember when Benkei suddenly got his theme song when he beat Masaki Mochizuki in 3 minutes? Like, then it was like, oh, he's now a thing now. And I think that that's something that for Fujiwara, if there is more than just smoke to the fire to him, he needs to. I think that he's already graduated up above Future at this point, but he needs to kind of put those trappings away and be a big boy. You know,
it's a shame we can't get MyBookie prop bets on Champion Gate, because I would love to know the odds on will Takuma Fujiwara have a ring jacket? Will Takuma Fujiwara have a new theme song? Will he debut a new finisher? All things that I would really like to know.
Yeah, and those will be the things I'm keeping an eye on Saturday. The Triangle Gate match, I think we can assume that's going to be the main event of night one of Champion Gate.
That is the main event, yes.
Okay, so it is making their first defense. It is the Natural Vibes team, KZ along with Young Vibes of UT and Jacky Funky Kamei, challenged by Doi's Boys, the International House of Hot Boys. They will be named at this time. Naruki Doi, Kota Minoura, and Kaito Ishida. I would say that this is the one that I know you said 2% chance for the Brave Gate. I would be stunned if like it would have to be like injury. We need to have a finish. You're not losing the belts this night. Minoura's army's winning this match. Like, there's no way I can't see them not winning this match here.
Okay, that's really interesting because I disagree. I think Natural Vibes is retaining.
Really? I just think that like it's something that they'd love to do to solidify a new unit is to give them the Triangle Gates immediately. And I think that this is a textbook title change. And, you know, sorry for UT for your first title since you were a rookie, and sorry for Kamei. You know, this is your first title belt period. But it's not that they're belt pillows, but it's in service of having a great main event and then putting the belt on the new super faces.
That's the thing. Natural Vibes just won these titles. And right now, it's my mindset. I'm so focused on how are we going to get Minoura the Dreamgate belt that I think him being a Triangle Gate champion, even if you want to give it to him, you know, from here to Dead or Alive or from here to, you know, the June Cork and Hall show, I think it's just going to bog him down. I don't think they need these titles right now. And I know that's not necessarily the way Dragongate thinks of whether or not a guy needs a title, but I think Natural Vibes is winning this. I think we're going to get a Kamei flash pin on somebody, or preferably a dominant KZ win, and they're going to roll through this weekend and retain their titles.
Yeah, like if Natural Vibes wins, I think it's KZ pinning Ishida. I think that's kind of the thing. Like, Ishida is clearly notched below Doi and Minoura.
That's what I was going to ask was, who's taking the fall on this Minoura team? And I was going to ask that, you know, to you of, okay, they win the titles, then who loses? And now that I talk this out, it's definitely Ishida, not Doi.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Doi still has that cachet at a certain level that Ishida, like that. And like that is the thing about if they become champions and they're eventually going to have to lose these belts. Side question, Case.
Mm-hmm.
If Natural Vibes already made a defense, are you still as certain that they're retaining here?
Is that a trick question? Did they already make a defense?
No, they haven't.
Okay. All right.
No.
I wasn't positive. No, I came into this weekend thinking that Natural Vibes was, that the Minoura team was going to lose, and that I'm not wavering on that. I still think they're taking the fall here.
No, that's fair. It's something like that. I mean, you're fully looking towards Kobe World of Minoura getting his crowning achievement there. So I appreciate that you're not going to be dissuaded. I was trying to find a way to kind of trick you into that. You're looking. They don't have a date yet for Kobe World. I was about to say that's the day you have circled in your calendar, but they don't have that available there.
No, they just released the May schedule, and they are having a late May Osaka number 2 show.
Mhm.
Normally that's one of the first King of Gate stops. This year it's at the end of the tour, and I don't think that means anything, but that'll be intriguing to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, man, they always have those Hokkaido shows. Just like I just imagine that's just always hell. just with the way that's set up. But yeah, no. As we see in the previews, like this match has a chance to be exceptional. Though I mean, we know that we kind of have a sense of the face-offs, and if the hot boys win, like really they could pin all 3 of them, and that makes sense, and it's not really diminishing for anyone there. But I mean, you have KZ Yoshida, UT and Doi, Kamei and Minoura. I think that you have a lot here to sink your teeth into.
I feel really good about this match now that we've seen what these two teams are capable of in Kobe. I think they're going to turn it up to another level here, and I'm very, very excited for this match.
Moving on to Sunday, we have the Twin Gate Championship match. This was set up at Memorial Gate. Dragon Dia and Yuki Yoshioka will be making their second defense of the Open to Twin Gate titles against SB Kento and Hyo. SB Kento and Hyo are obsessed with thinking that these two guys are rabbits. Case, have you noticed that? They just love making fun of them and giving them rabbit ears.
They love it. What can I say? They can't get enough of the stuff. Do we get new Twin Gate champions here, Mike?
I think it's a contingency. I think that if Kai loses, then you're going to want to have belts and Z-Brats, so they would have to win here. But with this press they've done towards Dia and Yoshioka, if they lose here, then it's like, okay, then why are they together at this point? Like they're going to be named, and they've already like have had them like front and center of like the initial merch push of the year, which is really important in Dragongate. And you have Hyo there, and Hyo can eat falls all day long. So I don't see a title change happening, but it is a contingency. If Kai loses, I think they need to have some belts and Z-Brats.
I'm with you here. I think Dia and Yoshioka retain. I think that's the right decision. I think this team is far too young into their reign, or I guess far too new into their reign, and far too exciting to take the belts off of at this point. I'm really curious to see what this match looks like. Dia likes to fly around. Yoshioka likes to work a really fast pace. Hyo and SB Kento aren't those guys. You know, I think there's a natural chemistry with Estrella and Jason Lee. This Hyo SB Kento challenge will look nothing like that match, but I still think it could be a really, really good match if they allow themselves to have it instead of getting bogged down in Z-Brats interference. And what I guess the larger point here is I would like more of a Dia Yoshioka match than a Hyo match, and I'm really curious to see what we get.
I don't know we're going to get that. Because,
I know, that's what I'm afraid of.
Because Kai has made a point that his Dreamgate matches are going to be fought clean, that this is going to be your walk and brawl here. We'll be seeing how far they can throw Dia into the seats.
That's true. We haven't seen that spot in a while. That gym class parachute spot they do with Dia, that is 100% happening in this match.
Right, yeah. He's gonna get slung up into the air, and then they're gonna sling him into the sheets. This is gonna be your walk and brawl match, I think. So as much as I'd be real interested to see like this happen, like them working a Dia and Yoshioka match, because there really still is a lot of meat left on the bone with Dia and SBK, everything considered. I don't think that's going to be happening in this match. I think your worst fear is going to come true with this match.
And remember, Dai and SB Kento have terrific chemistry, so there's going to be a lot to like between those two in this match.
Yeah, and then we get to the championship match, the Open the Dream Gate championship match. Kai will be looking to add the second Dream Key to his title belt as he defends against Big Boss Shimizu. Case, from the start, you thought that Shimizu is going to win the belt here, that Kai's reign will end in Osaka. It will be a hometown win for Big Boss Shimizu. Are you still riding that pony?
Yeah, I'm going to commit to this bit, even if Shimizu pinning Kai clean with a shot put slam made me a little bit nervous, but they have spent months giving Shimizu dominant win after dominant win. The arc they have pulled from him getting kicked out of RED, doing Team Boku in Ultimo Dragon, and all of the comedy that he did from King Shimizu to Big Boss is really a phenomenal feat of storytelling, from where this guy went from killer to clown and back to killer again. I think he is ready. I think he can handle the spotlight, and I think this is the right time to do it. To me, he feels like a really hot challenger. I don't know if you feel the same way, but to me, this is the logical next step. He's killed all of these guys for months. It's time he beats Kai for the Dreamgate belt.
I think there's going to be a couple tells, I think, early on if this will be a title change here. First, there's nothing about Big R's. I'm still calling him Big R a year and a half afterwards. Shimizu, there's still things in Shimizu's act that work in Dragongate, but aren't necessarily a thing for Dreamgate matches, for Dreamgate champions. That if he comes out and he's not wearing the Rikishi Mawashi, I think that's a tell. I think if they don't do the natural vibes dance for this match, that's a tell. And I think that if those things happen, then I'll be more open to the idea of a title change here. I look at this as like he's getting back on the rails, but it's not going to be a question of if and when with him. Like, we've seen that he is now back to where he was, one could argue, before he became the Sleaze Lord. So I could see them, and they like being people in their hometowns. I could see I'm probably 60-40 Kai at this point, but as like everything's gone on, I've become more and more open to the Shimizu idea. I think that they will give Kai. I think that it's going to be interesting with Dead or Alive. It'll be interesting with Dead or Alive. Like, because then you're getting the question of how long does the Kai reign go if he doesn't lose the belt here, and the fact that they're willing to do title changes than Edion too. It's an interesting match. Like, I might be coin flip. I'm talking myself into a coin flip here, Case.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of room to work with Shimizu as champion. I don't know where Kai goes unless, and this, might discredit the arguments I've just made, unless the next stop for Kai is Minoura, and you get, Kai to Minoura, and then what I think is still going to be the Kobe World Main Event of Minoura versus Skywalker, with Minoura retaining. That's a possibility I could buy into. If Kai retains, I hope that's the direction they go, with Minoura either winning at Dead or Alive, or I guess winning in June at one of the stop shows there. But I think this is Shimizu's time. My feeling on this has far less to do with Kai than it does with, I just think Shimizu is ready, and if they're ever going to pull the trigger on him, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, because if Shimizu doesn't win here, then you're looking into next year at the very earliest.
Yeah, I mean, if Shimizu doesn't win here, then I will accept that it just won't happen, because this is as hot as he's been, in my mind, maybe ever.
He'll have to Royal Road it. And
with the exception of King of Gate 2016, where we knew Yamato was winning, but Shimizu was on his level in the finals and throughout that tournament. And had they done Shimizu versus Shingo It's obviously not at that point. It would have been a world caliber main event, but Shimizu versus Shingo in 2016 during that Shingo run would have made sense, and I think Shimizu would have been a credible challenger. But the story was there for Yamada, so he had no shot. This is the first time that Shimizu's been in this spot and has felt like he could win the belt. And even you being 60-40 Kai or 50-50 on this match is a testament to Shimizu because he's never been in that sort of spot before.
Yeah, no, everything else was a no doubter. Champion retains here. Like, this is the first one where he feels credible in a way that, it kind of reminds me of Hulk leading up into when Hulk won in 2014. Like, it took Hulk having the Royal Road set out for him. So
and the consensus there was, okay, if Hulk doesn't do it here, he's never going to do it. Now, Shimizu hasn't been through a decade of Dreamgate failures in the way that Hulk had probably 6 or 7 years of Dreamgate failures at that point. It's a little less dramatic. It's not like Shimizu has those 2 career rivals, one with Yamato and one with Shingo. But you're exactly right. It feels similar to that Hulk spot at World 2014, where if he wasn't going to beat Yamato then, he was just never going to be a Dreamgate champion.
But also with that, it should be said that Hulk at that time already was pretty dinged up and was older.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
is Shimizu, I think, is 31. I think
He was born October 1992, so he will be
30.
He'll be 30 this year. Well, is Shimizu only 29?
I mean, he looks older, but I mean, like he's been like when we talk about the Kness stuff closing out the show, like seeing him on Ring Boy duty in 2013, like he's just been around forever. You know what I mean?
This roster, let me tell you, Shimizu has been. He debuted in May of 2013. He's 9 years deep, and he's 29 years old. These guys are unbelievable. This roster, let me tell you, Mike Spears, these guys are unreal.
I mean, that's always been the case. They go young in Dragongate, so like the window in Dragongate does skew younger. So yeah, I'm still 50-50. I was trying to see if I could talk myself into thinking Shimizu's going to win. I just think that Kai. I think that they're going to hold out Kai until dead or alive still. I think that that's kind of thing. And I think it's going to be Ada getting the big win later on. But yeah, that is Champion Gate. As we've mentioned, we have a lot of stuff we'll be talking about next week on the show. We will be giving our reviews for Korakuen and Champion Gate, written reviews on Voices of Wrestling. I've got the Korakuen Case. We'll be doing both of the Champion Gate shows this weekend. But
Now, Mike, let me ask you a question. I'm going to cut you off because I don't want you to transition to the next topic. I don't have a ton of time. Do we want to pencil the Kness matches that we're going to talk about for 2 weeks from now when there's not a show to review? Or do you want to speed run through them here? I'm going to let you decide. I don't care which one. I'm just letting you know the law of the land.
I'm looking at the clock right now, and for these matches, how about this? How about we do a full show about Kness and Yoshino?
That's the thing. I think, yes, because we can talk about the T2P match, and we can try to find some of their other matches. I think that would be a better use of our time, because we can talk for 90 minutes about Yoshino versus Kness.
Yeah, let's do that, because I didn't realize that it's getting late, and we're almost into hour 3 territory here. Wow. But when you get Case started talking about GALLI wrestling, you can't stop.
I really enjoyed that show. I'm very, very glad I made the trip.
Yes. So in that case, any other, we don't know anything else for Champion Gate. Something I've noticed, and it could just be with how things are, haven't seen Shoya Sato here lately. Do you think we might get a Futures versus Veterans match on these shows? Because I feel like that they're at a point where they need to kind of get them ready here. Just one last thought in my head before we go.
I don't know anything. I just assumed with the way he disappeared that he's dealing with an injury. Again, I don't know that. Don't aggregate that. That's just my assumption given the way that he's quietly disappeared off these cards. If he's on the show, that we're going to see him wrestle Don Fuji in some capacity. If he's off the show, at that point I'll reach out, but I'm assuming it's just he's off for precautionary reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense here.
I hate, by the way, and I said this last week, I hate that we don't have a single match announced for Korakuen Hall. We know there's going to be a Jimmy's reunion, but it sucks going into a Korakuen show and not knowing anything. I can't stand this Mystery Vortex stuff.
I picked the wrong night to be wearing my Jimmy's 8-bit t-shirt case because I have my Jimmy's shirt on now, and I completely spaced. When I put it on, I completely spaced that Korakuen's going to be based around the first ever Jimmy's reunion on Thursday.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. I wish we knew what the match was going to be. I wish we knew what the next 6 matches were going to be.
Do you think we can get Gherkin Mask? Do you think we might see Gherkin Mask do a Jimmy's train?
Yeah, he's a Jimmy's member in spirit. He wrestles like he's a member of the Jimmys. He has fun in the ring.
Oh God, I mean, I can't wait for that. But unless you have anything else, let's get out of here then.
No, this was very fun, and 2 weeks from now we'll talk a lot about Kness versus Yoshino.
Yeah, sorry for teasing that. We on-air production meetings. That's open to VoiceGate trademark. We'll be able to, because there's a lot to get into about Yoshino and Kness, so didn't want to do it short shrift here. But you can follow us on Twitter at Open VoiceGate. Case is at _ in your case. I'm at Fujiwara. Thanks for listening to Open VoiceGate. We'll be back with you next Tuesday talking about the biggest week of Dragon Gates 2022. Take care.